Hi, my name's Lisa Porter. I'm an artist, illustrator. I am based in Melbourne and I've been drawing all my life. It's what I'm most passionate about. It's what keeps me going in life. It's what I love. They have a picture book sort of quality to them, and they're generally centred around characters and archetypes, and there's always a narrative behind it, and there's often themes within it. My mediums can vary. I go through different phases at different times. I'll paint with acrylic, or I'll use pastels or Copic textures. I've been doing art since I could first pick up a crayon. Humans was my initial subject of interest. I can remember my grandmother and my mother teaching me how to draw people. And then later, by the time I started school, I remember the nuns, we had our first art class and they wanted me to draw stick people, and I got into trouble for drawing them correctly. I was more two-dimensional in my drawing at the age of 5. The teachers were a bit annoyed I wasn't following the rules. That sort of continued throughout my education actually, often. I've always been a bit of a free thinker when it came to how I like to draw. Even though I've been influenced by artists throughout my life, I tend to do things the way I want to do things. The mediums I use, I like it to centre around the illustrative aspect of my work, because I am firstly a drawer, and I like to maintain the graphic appeal, the graphic style quality. During the 90s, I did a lot of caricature drawing, commission pieces for people, and that evolved out of doing portraits, and that was it was a lot of fun. I also did caricatures for a local newspaper of different politicians, well-known politicians and sports heroes, and I also did court hearing illustrations for the local newspaper for the big court cases, and that was fun. For a time I was an art teacher at a high security prison, and that was very interesting. And the inmates actually had to earn the right to be in the class, so they were always on their best behaviour. I was always surprised at the level of talent of the students. I chose to see them as humans. I didn't want to know about their reasons for why they were there, and it was an outlet for them, and it was a very memorable experience. Recently, a very unusual thing happened. As I was walking one day through the park, I noticed this interesting stick that had fallen off a tree, and I picked it up and I was admiring it, at the beauty of it and the shape and the texture. And as I was looking at it, it occurred to me that I really want to bring it a new life, and so that began my new journey of creating wands. As crazy and wonderful it is, it's been a wonderful experience. I have illustrated and authored accompanying booklets for 2 publishers, one in New York, US Games Inc., and the other in New South Wales, Rockpool Publishers. I've done numerous decks for them, and I have an ongoing relationship with them and plan to do further work for my publishers. In the future, I plan to do a deck that will include mythological creatures and the archetypes behind those, and it'll include the allegories, like the meaning of these stories behind these creatures, and how they really are speaking about ourselves and our psychology and all the different aspects of the self. And because the subject matter fascinates me, and the style will be in a very illustrative style, very graphic, so it speaks to the modern person. For example, like the rising of the phoenix, you know, the bird, the allegory behind that, the creature is the self that has had to die within to be reborn, you know, and about the journey of the self through life, and how we have to shed, and we have to, you know, be born again within ourselves, you know, and it happens on a personal level, all these ancient stories. And that subject matter fascinates me a lot, and it excites me drawing these characters.